All right, it's Friday, February 16th, and this is a weekly recap on the SPY at the close of trading on Friday. And I'm showing the daily chart here first. You can see here the 5 days of the week. Essentially, if you look at it, we had a kind of a shooter bar to start the week on Monday, big gap down that gave you a hammer bar, a couple of up days held above the midpoint of the prior day, and then today was kind of a consolidation day. Overall, what I see unfolding here, this kind of almost looks like a little momentum hammer bar, but it closed red. It's kind of similar here to Tuesday. That was a down bar that closed red, but then eventually continued higher. So we'll see on the weekly chart if we kind of hold the midpoint of this week and start up along with the trend. It's possible we don't, and because and maybe we stay inside for a little while, or maybe even break down. But we'll see what this means if this buying in here for 3 days is enough to hold the market and then eventually break out to the upside next week. Overall, what I still see is this uptrend that's in place for 6 weeks, and this is just pausing action. So we could have a big range in play here for a while before the up move or before a reversal down. But if in general, it's kind of a consolidation area now after 6 weeks up. And, you can see here, and I've talked about this throughout the week a little bit, that you had the big selling tail up here and the buying tail down here. And that to me is a big range in here. And that's why when you kind of worked your way to the top of the range, you did kind of sell off a little bit. A red bar, you're kind of expecting that low to be tested on the next trading day. And we'll just see how much lower it goes within this range day by day. But if it kind of holds in here, then we're anticipating in the big picture just consolidation and a continuation up in line with the monthly chart that's, at all-time highs, green and heading higher. So that's kind of still the big picture trend, and this is just consolidation. Now, if we look at the, what I did here was I drew rectangles where the pre-market range was every day, just to kind of go over each day what happened. This was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, in terms of just maybe some short-term trading opportunities. The first day of the week, you can see here, it was generally a nice, we were holding above the midpoint of the prior day all day, even though it eventually failed. But out of the gates, it kind of moved up here. There was a buy signal, held the midpoint of the first bar, went above the pre-market highs, went above the high, worked up one bar, one big push, pause. The second push failed, and I think I pointed that out at the time on a video. And then you had the, that was kind of an exit area. You didn't get that second push on the day, and we closed with a big shooter bar here on the daily chart. So you're expecting lower the next day. That was an economic number. Obviously, price gap down. When you gap down, you're still bias is still to the downside, but you're at exhaustion risk temporarily. So it's not surprising you didn't get immediate follow through. You had to make kind of a push up and then get your, green to red kind of move here to test these lows of the day again. I think I shot some videos there that I decided to buy some puts, and it was a good trade, on the day. But at the very end of the day, we had a pretty strong rally, and that gave you, this hammer bar here. So you were kind of expecting things to move up, just based on that kind of daily bar, and we gapped up instead. So what happened here, this one, you expected a powerful breakout given the opening price action. I remember that, and I shot a video. There were like 2-3 bars pausing, and then the breakout. Definitely buy the calls in there, and I shot how I then, after this big failure bar, I decided to, I think, reverse and buy puts, and I took out the lows of the day. It made one push down, 2 pushes down. You're still holding above the midpoint of the prior day, so I exited there. And then, not really surprising when you see 2 pushes down to the midpoint of a prior day and the green reversal, that maybe either you hold in there for the rest of the day or maybe you get a big reversal back to the upside. So it was the type of trade, I remember this day, Wednesday, where, you expected a pretty strong breakout here, given you had the gap to fill and that opening price action, but it did fail and gave you 2 pushes down before coming up. So just kind of understanding that was a way to trade that day. Yesterday, essentially, was a day that, we gapped up again. So you're at a little exhaustion risk on the gap up. You're above the midpoint of the prior day. I think price moved up to take out the pre-market high. I remember that. Same kind of thing as this day, where we kind of went up. You had the breakout to take out that pre-market high. It hit it and then immediately failed. So then you had kind of your 2 pushes down again on the day. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I also bought some puts here on this kind of failure, just to see, how much lower we'd go. And then Eventually, we kind of held the inside bar. What we were doing was taking out liquidity to the downside here, taking out the lows of the day. We didn't reach the pre-market lows, and then you had the inside bar reversal up. And that was, I think I missed pointing out that probably was a good buy in here, push down, take out that liquidity. I think I was waiting to see if you'd come to the midpoint of that, so how far this move might go, or if we take out the pre-market lows. That's what I remember I was looking for here, and it never got there. Inside bar up. So there's your kind of strat intraday signal, and eventually it took out the high of the day and closed strongly green. And then today, again, I shot the video that there was a sell signal to start. You're at the high of an overall big range in here. If you zoom it out, I think that's a high, that's the low. So I thought it was a decent sell, more so on the QQQs than the SPY. Came down for a couple of bars, but again, I talked about how I didn't think, you're still just inside of the previous day. It's not really a 2-down day, so you kind of scale out and, set up a no-risk trade here. I exited most of my position here, just kind of knowing that, we were just an inside day from the prior day, and eventually you got the reversal bar here, which took out the high of the day. There was your pause and a second move up, and then that's it once you had the little failure here. So if you bought this type of move to go higher, or once it made the new highs, if you waited for the pullback and bought this green bar, you're expecting one push up, take out that intraday high. It did that, it failed, and then as typically might happen on a Friday, things just really fell apart at the end. No way to know for sure if it's going to do that, but that was what happened. So we end up with kind of a red bar here, which does project a little lower, to start, and then we want to see how much lower we get into this weekly buying tail. That's kind of what I'm going to monitor, knowing that we're in a kind of a choppy range. So we were in a choppy range all week. I kind of highlighted throughout the week some of the intraday price action relative to that choppy context, and I think I'll end up doing that the same thing next week. We're in a choppy area. We'll see how price opens. We'll see the pre-market range, and we'll kind of watch daily bar by bar to kind of anticipate where things are going. But definitely an opportunity, for some good trades this week, knowing the context and given the price action. Wasn't some great, not really great directional days overall. This was a failure day. This was a failure day down and went up. This was choppy to head up. And so on. But as I think I pointed out on some of the weekly videos, there was definitely opportunities within this, environment, just given the way I look at, the opening price action relative to the pre-market range and how it all fit into the daily chart. So we will see what happens, starting next week. I'll expect a little lower, very short term. Want to see how this consolidation area, unfolds. We got to get out of this area here, either up or down, to really get the next big move. And I don't know for sure which way that's going to be, but I think the context is still to the upside until proven otherwise. So that's it. We will see how things unfold starting next week.